Welcome back, guys, to another Clash Royale video, and today we are back on my mini account. We're trying out the newly added Fire Spirits card, and I'm throwing them into a HOG cycle deck because I think the Fire Spirits are a perfect fit for the HOG Rider strategy just because of their low elixir cost. And when you're using a HOG cycle strategy, you want to try and keep your average elixir cost down as low as possible. So as you can see here with this deck, I've got an average elixir cost of 3.1, which is really good. Now, I've been doing pretty well with this deck this morning. I'm currently sitting under 2,200 trophies as a level 6, which is really crazy as I'm facing a lot of level 8s at this trophy range and doing pretty well against them. Now, I do have some replays to show you guys, and then I want to finish off with a live battle, so let's go ahead to that. So here we are, guys, with the first replay. We're facing a level 8 here inside the Royal Arena. Now, right off the start, I do make a pretty big mistake. He drops down some Barbarians way in the back by his tower. And, of course, the Fire Spirits are a pretty good counter to the Barbs, but they're a little bit too far back to use the Fire Spirits just yet. So I actually decided to use my Barbarians behind my tower, which, as you'll see right here, is a pretty big mistake, because he's just going to use his Fireball to damage my Crown Tower, as well as pretty much take out all of my Barbarians. And as a result, I was forced to use both the Zap spell, as well as the Fire Spirits to defend right here. Now, he does have the Minion Horde in his deck, so that was a pretty big mistake because I just wasted both of my strong counters to the Minion Horde on that push right here. So he recognizes an opportunity right here to go in with the Minion Horde, so I'm going to try and make do with what I have in my hand. I'm going to use the Spear Goblins in the back as well as the regular Goblins to distract. And it actually worked out pretty well, and it was also an elixir advantage for myself, because even though I used both sets of Goblins, that's only 4 elixir spent against a 5 elixir card, so that was a 1 elixir win for myself. And I also tried to go in on the right hand side with that HOG Rider. My intention wasn't really to do damage to the tower. It was more so just to kind of find out what kind of cards he has in his deck so I can make a better strategy later on in the battle. Right here, he's going to try and go in with some Barbarians, and watch how strong of a counter those Fire Spirits are against the Barbarians. Now, of course, my Fire Spirits are only level 5, so they don't do too much damage against a pack of level 8 Barbarians. But if your guys' Fire Spirits are higher level, you'll probably have a lot better success with them. And now watch this right here, guys. I'm going to go in with a super aggressive push with the HOG Rider as well as the Prince and some Spear Goblins. He tried to use the Bomb Tower to defend, but of course the Bomb Tower isn't the greatest defense against a HOG Rider or a Prince. The Bomb Tower is a better defense against Swarm units, and as a result, I'm able to actually take out that tower on the left-hand side and get a 1 crown lead. And he actually wasted his Fireball there trying to defend, which was a huge waste because his tower is at like 4 health when he used that Fireball. And if you guys are about to lose a tower, don't waste any more elixir than you have to. Try and save whatever elixir you can to do a counter push. And what you just saw right there, guys, was a 2 elixir Fire Spirits card, completely taking out a 5 elixir Minion Horde. The Fire Spirits are one of the best counters to the Minion Horde right now in the game. It's going to give you a huge elixir advantage. The Fire Spirits obviously only 2 elixir, the Minion Horde obviously 5 elixir. So that was a 3 elixir win for myself right there. And right there, he wasted his Fireball, damaging that tower. So I'm going to go in on the right hand side with my Barbarians. But of course that was kind of a waste because he had the Minion Horde ready. So at this point in the battle, guys, I was just trying desperately to defend. Because he was just going to use his spells right here to try and take out my tower and go into overtime. So I'm going to drop that cannon right there as well as some Barbarians. I want to prevent as much damage to my tower as I can. He's going to throw in 1 final Fireball and bring my tower all the way down to 40 health. But I will get the 1 crown victory. Let's go to the next replay here, guys. So here we are, guys, with the next replay. We're facing another level 8 here in the Royal Arena. So once again, we have a 2-level disadvantage. Now, I don't really have the greatest starting hand here for setting up a push, so I'm just going to sit back a bit and see what he does first. He drops a Knight on the right-hand side, and then some Barbarians on the left-hand side for a split push. I'm going to defend his Barbarians with some Barbarians of my own, and then I'm going to use those Fire Spirits to try and take out those Barbarians, but unfortunately, 2 of the Fire Spirits were actually distracted by that Knight, so that kind of sucks, but thankfully, he didn't actually do any damage to my towers, so overall, not too bad of a defense right there. And now that we have a better pushing hand, I'm going to start setting up a push on the right hand side with that Prince way in the back behind my King Tower. And once the Prince makes his way up to the bridge, I'm going to support him with a HOG Rider as well as some Spear Goblins. Now, a lot of people ask me about Zap versus the arrows, and I much prefer the Zap over the arrows for a couple of reasons. 1, the Zap spell is 1 less elixir. 2, the Zap spell is instant, and 3, the Zap spell actually stuns. which is extremely useful for a couple different things like resetting a Sparky attack timer and forcing troops to retarget. Now the arrows cost 1 more elixir and also have travel time. And I found that when I used to use the arrows a lot, by the time you got that 1 more elixir and by the time the arrows actually landed, a lot of your troops were actually dead. So that's why I like to prefer the zap spell over the arrows. And the great thing with the zap spell is a zap spell coupled with some spear goblins will actually kill a pack of minions. It does cost 1 elixir more than in arrows, but you'll still have those spear goblins left over afterwards to damage the tower. And right here, we're going to sneak in with a Hog Rider as well as some goblins and get a couple hits off on that tower, bringing it all the way down to 1300 health. And so right here, he's got a pretty strong push on the right-hand side with some barbarians as well as some minions. I'm going to use these zap spells to stun them as well as damage most of those minions and the barbarians. And then I'm going to follow it up with some fire spirits to finish it off, and overall not take too much damage to my tower. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, that prince was actually doing a pretty decent amount of damage to that tower, bringing it all the way down to 724 health. So things looking pretty good right here. And now right here, he's got a pretty strong push with that wizard as well as some knights. And I'm actually going to use the surround technique with those barbarians and surround that wizard and take him out pretty quickly. So overall, pretty good job defending right there. And once again, he's got some minions down. I'm going to use the zap spell there to weaken them. But unfortunately, I didn't have the spear goblins ready to take him out. So right here, I'm just going to defend for a quick bit. Watch these fire spirits damage all those barbarians. Once again, the fire spirits are a great counter to the barbs for only 2 elixir. And so right here, there's 10 seconds left, guys. His tower on the left-hand side is all the way down to 724 health. So I'm just going to focus on trying to take it out. Hog Rider's going to sneak in there and get 1 hit off on that tower. And then the Prince is going to try and go in there and do some damage. But unfortunately, the Prince is not the Knight is a good counter against the Prince card. So he's not going to do too much damage to his tower right there. Now right here, he makes an interesting choice. He uses the poison spell to damage that cannon as well as the tower, which in my opinion is a waste of elixir, and as a result I'm able to sneak in with the Hog Rider right here and get 1 hit off on that tower, bringing it all the way down to 188 health. And now right here is a moment where I actually really missed the fireball, because at this point in the battle normally I would just use the fireball with the zap spell to finish that tower off and get the victory. And also keep in mind that if he were level 6 like me, that tower would have actually been destroyed a little while ago, and I would have the 1 crown victory already. But right here, we are able to sneak in with that Hog Rider and take out that tower. Anyways, let's go to a live battle here. So here we go, guys. Now I really want to get my fire spirits to a higher level, because I'm facing a ton of level 8s, as you can see right here, and level 5 fire spirits just don't really pack the punch as a level 8 fire spirits would. So right here, we have a barbarian in our starting hand. He drops down a spear goblin hut. We're going to use a cannon right in the middle to prevent some chip damage by those spear gobs. And then we're going to start setting up a push on the left-hand side with this Hog Rider as well as a Prince, and be super risky with this because he might have a minion horde or some barbarians to counter that. So that kind of sucks. So I'm not going to use the zap there. I am going to use the zap right here, however, to damage all of those minion horde. And then I'm going to use some spear goblins to take them all out. It's not really the greatest opening push right there. So he's going to use the Hog Rider, going to destruct it with a cannon as well as some goblins to take it out. Now unfortunately, because I do have the level disadvantage, I have to use the cannon with some goblins to take out their Hog Riders, whereas normally you can defend against a Hog Rider with just a cannon. And so I know that he has the barbarians in his deck, so I want to do a split push with some barbs and then use the Hog Rider so that the barbarians will be able to support him. And maybe I'll throw in the fire spirits with the Hog Rider just for fun and see how it does in a push. So here we go with the Hog Rider. We're going to drop down some fire spirits as well, and then have the zap spell ready if needed. And there they go. They're going to go in there and do some damage. Pretty good. He's going to drop the fireball, interesting enough. Going to use the cannon here to distract with the goblins as well. And so we did some pretty good damage to that tower on the left-hand side with those barbarians, with those fire spirits, and with that Hog Rider. His tower is all the way down to 470 health. But of course, he is using a spawner deck with the Hog Rider. And the thing with these spawner decks is they get stronger as the battle goes on. So later on in the battle, he might have a pretty strong push. I'm going to use my barbarians here to defend. I really want to get to those fire spirits here as quickly as I can. I'm going to zap here as well as use the fire spirits. And then use some goblins there to take care of his Hog Rider. He's going to use the arrows, which really sucks. So I might lose that tower here soon. And of course, he's going to support his tower on the left-hand side with some buildings, so that kind of sucks. Gonna use some barbarians here to defend, I guess, with some spear goblins, and then a zap spell to take care of those minions. And at this point in the battle, all he has to do is fireball my tower to death. That really sucks. We're gonna support here with a Hog Rider, as well as a Prince and some Fire Spirits. And we're gonna go super aggressive. We're gonna drop down some Spear Goblins as well. I'm gonna zap all of that. And didn't do as much damage as I wanted to. So once again, he only needs to fireball 2 more times to take out my tower. Drop the cannon and some goblins here. And he's probably going to waste, once he wastes his fireball on my tower, I'm going to try and go in with the barbarians. No, he's going to use that there, so I might go on the left-hand side here with this, and a Hog Rider on the left-hand side. Spear Goblins as well. Fire Spirits. Can we just do some damage to that tower? We might actually get it right here. Oh no, his arrows. Those arrows are so strong because he's a higher level. Normally arrows don't kill a Hog Rider like that. And actually he would be dead right now if we were equal level. But he's probably going to take my tower right here. And there we go, we lost the battle. But we would have actually won that if we were equal level, so that kind of sucks. But anyways guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next video.